their speed, but not sure. I'm not sure how well they're going to do tonight against. I'm quite intrigued to see how our top team ZWC will go. If they are on the start list, though, I'm not sure I'm seeing if they are on the start list tonight, which would be a bit of an upset.
I would be very curious. Let's just take a look back at the women who are well further into their race. Ange McRae leading the way for the BRT ladies there. We've talked about how she's such a solid rider, such a good performer. I actually get the impression as well, Anna, that she's very good for the team for keeping everybody pretty calm and pretty organised and pretty committed to the cause. I like that. You know, I think every team needs an Ange McRae.
Oh, exactly. Everyone's got that sort of leader, right, who just brings everyone together. If we were listening to their Discord right now, I'm sure she'd be the one who's sitting there motivating everyone. You know, if someone's struggling, just saying, come on, stick with it, you'll be fine. We're better as a team. And I do just actually want to see, I've seen a comment come through about actually the TBR team, but they've said, go TBR, smile on. They put the T in Tessin spirit. Win or lose, we finish together. Now, I think that's a good summation of the women's teams out here. Perhaps not the men's so much with a few fractured, but with the women's teams, I think they're all in there together. They all seem pretty fair, and I definitely think the BRT team led by Ange McRae here encapsulates that feeling.
Well, so let's take a look at the power for a little bit. We've got a comment in here from Tina. Go TBR, smile on. They put the T in team. S in spirit. Win or lose, we finish together. I love that. That is
Isn't it
just
great?
such good camaraderie. And I think that we need to remember this is a community league, and all of these people absolutely have incredibly busy real lives out there. They're balancing full-time jobs, family, health issues. So for them to commit to this is incredible. Now, let's take a look for a second at the heart rate and power from McRae, because at 143, 144 heart rate, she's cruising. She's not working too hard yet. She is sitting on. We can see that. If you see a power and you're not quite sure where the rider is, it's a bit of a giveaway when you look at their power. If it's under sort of 150, you know that they're not doing it too tough. But in the background, is that a team about to, or is that Z-Sun coming up on them, Anna? Because that's a pretty good ride from Z-Sun.
Yeah, Z-Sun is really good at this team time trial format, and you can just see 6 riders, I think, still. They'll be coming through pretty strong, 42k an hour. So that seems to be the magic number tonight to really be at the top of this field. And I think, they will come through the BRT team. So I'm just having a look at where they finished in the last team time trial. They were second place, so they were second behind Aero Flyers. But in the last 2 splits, they have been ahead of Aero Flyers and just off the pace of the ZRL Ace of Cake. So extremely good showing from Z-Sun. I think we mentioned them quite a bit last week in the scratch race. With Donette, Shaw, and is it Schlesinger? They just had great races, and I think they may not be in contention to win, but I believe that they're really putting in this effort to show that next season, they're here to play ball.
Well, it looks like Daru is under pressure here. She's a couple of lengths back as they do approach the overtake here. She needs to be careful. They've got 6 riders out there, but splits can happen pretty quickly. As we say that, she makes a bit of an effort and ducks back onto that wheel, which calms me down a bit. I was getting a little bit panicked there and hoping that she didn't let that open up anymore. But of course, you get that warning up on screen, don't you? That's a little bit of a kick in the butt that tells you to watch out because you need to close that gap.
Yeah, and this could be an interesting pass because they're doing it uphill. And like we've seen before, these teams, as much as we want drama, there's not in this women's field. They all seem extremely friendly. And Z-Sun just needs to be careful here with about 3 riders just dropping off the pace there. Zollberg and Schlesinger are a little bit behind, and they could get stuck in the BRT train, which would not be good for them. So you can see Ebert here. She's pushing through. She's made it through okay. Mars behind. Shore is coming through as well, but as you can see, those watts per kg of all those riders are having to really push, and these guys have fractured, unfortunately, going up this climb, which will hurt them in their chase of the Ace of Cakes. So you can see massive watts having to be pushed through to just catch on to the wheels of that lead rider, and then they go straight into a winding downhill, and this is danger time for them, really. They've been caught up. You can see Zolberg already 3 seconds back, and that might have to be a tough call to say, you're out, it's too far, we've got to keep this train moving, and they may be just down to 5 riders now, it looks like.
Well, I think that we have seen a pretty textbook over, even though a few gaps opened up. Ebert definitely accelerated past, and Danette Shaw got a little bit stuck, but that didn't last for long, and they have opened that gap fairly substantially now. Zed Summit definitely moving in pretty good pace, and I would say that so far they've been week after week probably one of the teams who have shown the most consistency and cohesion as a crew, and also I've got to give them very good style points for their kit, and it's also very Christmassy with the rednecks, so style points for them. Do they get extra overall points, do you think, if they turn up in good kit?
I mean, I'm going to have to talk to Martin at WTRL, but I almost want to give out bonus points for just impeccably put together outfits. I mean, you've got to look at what you're wearing in Zwift. You watch this avatar so much when you're sitting there training, and you want to look pretty slick out there. But this team's looking good. I like it. Good little mix. I've just seen a note there from Ange McRae. Come on, drop back. So she's saying to the Z Sun rider Zolberg, get out of here. She's sticking around the BRT crew. I think she's saying, you dropped off your bunch, get out. And that's just Ange McRae showing her leadership.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad etiquette to get caught up in somebody else's train in a team's time trial. I mean, we can give them benefit of the doubt, because sometimes you do get stuck in that draft and you're not quite sure what to do with it. But we can see them now. We've seen the Z Sun rider. She has, in fact, gotten out of there, which is good. Now we've got some. Let's take a look at these split times at the 26K mark. That's a really solid lead for the Ace of Cakes. They're over 30 seconds up on Z Sun, and then back again to the Aero Flyers. So as a virtual on the road, it looks like Ace of Cakes will take the overall win, not just today, but for the series. So I think as they're in this final 10K now, they've got nothing to lose. All they need to do is get to the finish in the kind of form they've been showing so far. And can you see that message now again, Anna, from Ange McRae? So much. She is so polite. She's almost like, get out of our way. Thank you. Like, I really like it. I think it's I like it. And I also like the fact that in the middle of a team's time trial, where they're going pretty well and clipping along over 40k an hour, that she can type. Like, she's got the headspace not just to type but to be polite. I think that's
look at that heart rate though. Like you said, she's cruising 154. I mean, that's like an endurance sort of aerobic set. She's not. I think she knows she's probably the stronger one in the team, and you can see her pushing off the front here with that great Superfly wheel on, which is so fast with the Specialized S-Work. So she's got the fastest rig you can get riding that in game, and she's taking all the benefits she can. And 153. So she's just kind of rolling through tonight. She's having a great old time.
Well, here's a controversial one. I think that for the most part, unless it is absolutely down to the wire, which it hasn't necessarily been in the team time trials thus far, I would take style points for the headgear over the aero helmet. What's your take on that? I feel like you're not an aero helmet girl, but you're more of a sweatband or visor kind of girl.
Yeah, definitely I rock the sweatband. You have Jane Fonda in game, that's my name. But the aero helmet.
Hold on, if somebody I have different with, please change Anna's avatar to Jane Fonda, and a leotard and a leg and leg warmers would be great.
Exactly. I just almost have PTSD from copious amounts of triathlon racing wearing aero helmets, and so I just can't face my avatar wearing one in game.
But
I
you
almost
realise
just
you
think
don't have
that's,
to wear it on the trainer, right, Anna? You're not doing
yeah.
that, are you?
Oh no, I've got to look exactly the same on the trainer as I do in game. So if I've got a sweatband on all the time, I have a sweatband in game. If I'm going to wear an aero helmet in game, I've got to wear it on the trainer. So, call me crazy, but I just can't wear that in game and in my basement.
Excellent. Well, that's a visual for everybody who's ever watching you in Zwift. They can kind of know that that is an exact replica of what's going on in your pain cave. Michelle Ferris now, she has been pulled in from the Ace of Cakes. Look at her. She's rocking the avatars on her avatar and no helmet there. She is done for the day, but what a good job to get this far into it so far. And Ace of Cakes have a very handy lead. I do think that she was the secret weapon today, Anna. I think they brought her in. They gave her a really clear job for perhaps 20, 25 kilometres, and it seems to have paid off.
Although I just think that they might have dropped 2 riders, so they might be down to 4 riders now, the AHDRL Ace of Cakes. And if you do look at those splits, 36.52 up to the 26k mark, and that's about 10ish k from there. And yeah, they've still got a good lead. Yeah, they've still got about 30 seconds on Z Sun. So yeah, they're probably not having to worry too much now. And we can see Zolberg from Z Sun has dropped too. But yeah, there we see the Ace of Cakes down to 4 riders. So the strategy I did think at the start is they did ring in a Olympic medalist to take them through the first lap, and looks like she did her job superbly.
I mean, we can look at where they are compared to Z Sun, but most relevant for the overall series and that step up is actually where they are compared to the Aeroflyers, right? Because that is where they are both tied at the top of the table on 171 points. So as long as Ace of Cakes beat the Aeroflyers, I think that's all we need to see tonight. In saying that, I think they're pushing all the way to the finish line. It's not enough for them just to win the series. They also want to take out tonight Kim Hurst there, 173 heart rate. That is certainly pushing toward a threshold effort. And of course, your threshold is the heart rate and the power that, in theory, you can hold for a consistent period of time without kind of tipping over into that explosion, leg, lung explosion category. But let's hedge that, Anna, because we've all had those days where we get on the bike and we kind of try and sit at a power we know we should be able to, and it is just not happening. So, we've got to take these numbers sometimes with a grain of salt because we're not exactly sure how the riders are feeling. But the Ace of Cakes, even with 4, I think they're doing a pretty sensational job of keeping the speed pretty high, up toward 40k an hour while going slightly uphill. It's fair to say that they've got pretty good legs today.
Yeah, I've actually just seen a comment come through on the YouTube socials, which was a very good point. So I said before that I matched what I was doing in my basement to my avatar, but I do have a wheel off trainer. So they're saying, what do I do there? Do I just, take the wheel off the back while I'm racing? Or if I'm racing a disc, do I chuck a disc wheel on the trainer? So, I mean, it is extremely good questions. I haven't really thought it through completely, Victor. So I'm usually just going sort of outfit choice, but you've got a good point. I mean, I do run like a Zip 808 training wheel on the front just because mentally I think it's faster. I mean, I know that front wheel doesn't move while it's on the trainer, but I look down and think, yeah, it's game time. That's going fast. So, I mean, I think I'm
Anna, that people are actually really listening carefully to what we say. I think that's a win for us tonight.
Yeah, I feel like with the whiteboarding and now me giving a little bit of insight into how I race on Zwift that I'm coming across all types of crazy. But, there we go. I'll let people make up their own mind.
Well, I've made the mistake on the trainer of leaving it on there and wiping it down, but really not attending to it otherwise. And after time losing the air in your front wheel. And I've gotten on my bike to ride, gotten out of my seat up a climb, and felt like I was about to throw myself off because the front wheel is all squishy. So you can't set
Oh,
and forget on a trainer. You need to make sure you keep putting air in that front tyre. You can actually get a flat on Zwift. Here to tell you folks, you can do it. You've got to make sure you keep on top of that.
exactly. And if people want some really interesting images, go to a search of the Zwift Riders Facebook page, where a while back people were showing what happened when they took their handlebar tape off their bikes after like a winter of training. And
Oh,
let's just say that sweat and carbon does not always the best combination make. And there were some interesting pictures of complete disintegrations of head units. So there we go.
I feel like that is just congealed mess right there. So it's another one. You've got to use a towel. You've got to. I always say to the ladies on my bunch ride, make sure you put the towel over the head stem as well, not just where your hands are sitting, because it's actually the head stem that's kind of directly in line for the sweat. And let's talk about fans for a second. As they're riding into the finish, we'll cover them as they cross the line. But I noticed on the World Championship feed last week, the first time they've had an esports cycling World Championship, which was super cool, that some of the riders had like double and triple fan setups. That seems very controversial to me.
I would say that's a good call. You'd want, if you were racing real seriously, like you would be obviously in a world champs, yeah, fan on the front, fan behind, fan on the side. Like you just want to be so cooled down. A few times I'll do a training set with no fans and I'll close all the windows and doors and just get sort of the heat metabolic benefits from the training session. But when you're racing, you just want to be as cool as possible. And what I have seen with, is it No Pins? They sort of do indoor training gear. You can actually now put ice packs into your indoor training clothes. So there's some really awesome indoor training specific stuff that's coming out. And I love the idea of chucking some ice packs in there for a race, because I don't know what Aussie's like at the moment, but New Zealand's about 100% humidity and it's not comfortable for racing. As we're watching Z Sun though now coming across the line, look like they have rounded out in second place, and BRT looks like they'll probably roll in for fourth just behind the Aero Flyers.
So they've been pretty high speeds out on course today, only just over the 50-minute mark for 36k. It's pretty impressive. They're coming under the finish arch. Now, even if on the main screen you can't see that, we can see it on that top right of screen, of course. You can track their progress there. So they just went through the finish line. They can be exhausted now and be quite proud of the effort they've put in, not just tonight, but in the previous 9 weeks that has made this community league such a cracker. Z Sun have turned up on form for every team's time trial, and they're certainly one to watch for the future, I think, as well. We've got the bombshells, the AHDRL, and that is Australian Hump Day Ride Ladies. The bombshells, they've got a lot of teams out there. AHDRL, of course, Ace of Cakes being on the top of the table. So I think this is another example, Anna, of a really good development path for these athletes. So some of the riders in the fluffy buns or the bombshells, if they continue to improve, they might move up to the Ace of Cakes. And we saw Michelle Ferris was actually, I think she was a bombshell. She may have been a fluffy bun. That sounds quite funny to say, doesn't it? May have been a fluffy bun. But she came from one of those essentially feeder teams. And it's pretty cool to see a local community like the AHDRL community in Australia really develop that talent through.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually what we're doing with our own team, which is, we have a team in the Prem division, but then we have a sort of community team racing in this league, and it's just where you sort of find some talent coming up. You can move people around a bit more, sort of experiment. There's just not as much on the line, so it can make for some really exciting racing and an exciting way to see different sort of riders coming up. And even over this 10-week period, you've got a lot of riders who are racing more than they ever would have on Zwift, and with that comes a lot of fitness gains, and they're already moving up from the B cat to the A cat, or from the C cat to the B cat. So we'll see a lot of shuffling around before the next league starts, which is mid-Jan next year, and I think that's going to be exciting in this APAC division. We'll see just a bit of mix up at the top. It looks like it will probably be between the Aero Flyers and Z Sun, with AHDRL looking like they'll take out the league tonight. So, yeah, I'm excited.
And I think it is an opportunity for the riders to take a physical break, a mental break, and come back and kind of regroup for the next season. All of the teams have made pretty impressive gains so far. And I think even if physically they take a bit of a break over Christmas, which is good for the body and the mind, that they've come so far in terms of learning Zwift strategy, learning each other and how to ride well together, that I think they will come to the next season really well prepared regardless. So both teams are coming into the finish here now. The Aero Flyers, they were tied neck and neck on the top of the table with the Ace of Cakes at the beginning of the day. They finish with 5 riders to there. Now they have been just a top performer in this season, Anna, and certainly one of the teams that we've watched and chased throughout. We're just waiting for the Ace of Cakes to finish now so that we can see how it all came out in the wash. But there were a couple of tight ones. We're looking at the C now.
Oh my gosh, have you seen this, Katie? This is 1 second. And whoever wins this...
exactly. Whoever gets it. So 10K left to go, only 1 second. It does look like that We Ate the Cake went out a little bit harder and are perhaps fading a bit. TBR Smile On really picking up the pace and bringing it home.
This is amazing.
This is about as exciting as it gets.
So look at that. The top of the table, joint at the top. That's amazing. Oh, you got to say, like, TikTok on the clock. This party don't stop with these two teams. This is amazing.
All right. Well, thank you, Kesha, for dropping into the Zwift commentary.
No problems.
All right. So We Ate the Cake. They are very near the finish now. They are at the top of the table, and they are 1 second faster at that 26K mark. And there's still 6 riders. So they've obviously been working really well together. They're a little bit strung out coming into the finish. That's not a problem. I think they are just pushing so hard because they know they need to. TBR Smile On. She is great. Monique, she rides with the Chicks Who Ride Bikes group, and she always takes care of the Zippy group at the front and kind of herds. We call her the Queen Bee of the Zippies. And she is great for the community, and I know that she just loves being out there, has such a great attitude. I'm really happy to see such a big competition on here. Now they are down to
got Christmas jerseys on.
I think they do.
I think they've all got Christmas jerseys on. Yes, they hands do. Down, this crew is getting the best outfit of the day award. Look, they've almost all got the identical bikes. They're all in Christmas attire. This is absolutely fantastic to see TBR really turning it on for this last race. And I think those Christmas jerseys is what has set them apart. In tonight's race with AHDR We Ate the Cake, they're 1 second off. I think that'll push them to 1 second ahead.
Well, regardless of the outcome, I think we can give them certainly very big props for turning up as a team in spirit. So they get our Christmas award tonight. They've done a really good job of dressing the part, which is impressive. And also for Zwift for allowing people to have ugly Christmas sweaters, I think is a good way to end a rubbish year. So they finished now. Oh, We Ate the Cake. They are
they're very close.
Into the finish now. I feel like We Ate the Cake might have made up a little bit of time here at the finish, but look at them. They are not expecting anything other than having to push for a very tight finish. So we'll see those results when we can. But how incredible that after 26 kilometres, only a single second was between them. So very impressive. We've got the donuts here are coming in. I love all the AHDRL names. I think they maybe got a whiteboard out just like yours, Anna, when they named all their teams.
I think so.
Put a few up there.
That was TBR, you do rock. Thanks for that, Tina. You've been watching today, as you have quite a few of our feeds. So I think you're a bit of a TBR fangirl, so absolutely loving it. We are watching Evo here, but that was quite a battle at the top, but it does look like AHDRL has taken it out over TBR Smile On. Such a tight battle, and that means that AHDRL potentially moves up as well in this league. So AHDRL has performed extremely well in the APAC division in both the A and the C categories. So very, very impressive racing all around from that wider group, the Australian Hump Day Ride League.
It has been good to see so many teams commit fully to the season, but also race all the way to the end. I just think next season's going to be a cracker. You know, I think some teams might rejig and change a few team members, because we have seen a couple jump around teams and rejig a little bit. So that might bring a little bit of excitement for the next season. Oh, we've got a bit of camo happening here. This is a pretty well-dressed team too, Anna.
Oh, I like this. This is a quite the camo get-up. I mean, you can barely see them out there with that camouflage on. But they do have the lit-up bikes, so that's pretty good. And we've got the old-school newsboy hat, which I always like as a bit of a throwback. And, yeah, another AHDL team, Spin Mafia. They're looking great coming into the finish. And 5 riders. Looks like they're just sprinting on in, and beautiful use of Tron bikes. I mean, it's always not my pick for a team time trial, but they look cool. I mean, and that's almost more important, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, and I think that it really depends if it's going to come down to a second, like with We Ate the Cake and TBR Smile on, then absolutely every single part of the get-up counts. But some of these other teams, I think that isn't what will make the difference, and so they choose to have a little bit more fun out there as well. So we've got the CMA, I think that's a Cycling Mums Australia Queen Bee
awesome
team, and they are a group of ladies who, as their name would suggest, are all mums, and they kind of get together and help encourage each other through what you and I both know, Anna, can be some testing times as you delve into motherhood. So good on them for forming that community.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've got to say, like, when you've a bit tight on time and it's pretty hard with the kids asleep, Zwift has been quite a godsend for me, at least. You know, you can jump on and do a great 45-minute smash fest while there's a sleeping baby next to you, because it turns out the sound of a wind trainer is amazing white noise.
Isn't that just such a godsend? I agree with that. So we've head over to the men's division now. We've got a couple of time checks in here. Team ZWC Attack, they are on the top so far at that 16k mark, which is just shy of halfway. Evo Savages, the next, and Relentless Pack in 4th. So we will get back to see them out on course soon. But we've got Cryogen at the moment. They're 24 kilometres in, so not too far off hitting that 26k time check. They've got 5 riders left, so if they started with 6, but there is a team in the background. We'll have to see whether they're about to make the overtake or whether they've just been overtaken. But we've seen that happen a few times so far this evening. Zed Sun for the men, they've got that same very obvious kit, which is quite cool. It's nice to have your own kit in game. And Zed Sun in the women's, we saw them do a great overtake of BRT. Ange McRae, of course, the BRT rider, very polite in her assessment of how that all went.
It looks like Julian Alaphilippe, or is that just me? Sorry.
Does
that look
I
like...
think he probably fashioned that. Yeah, he does.
Love it. We've got Julian out joining us. I do want to make a special note of Evo Savages as well, who at the moment placed second after the 16k time check. The best place they've had so far is, I think, around 5th. So they're doing really, really well tonight to be only sort of 20 seconds off Team ZWC at that 16k time check. So extremely good performance from the Evo Savages.
Anna, have we got Santa on screen now? Is that what we're seeing?
I love this. I just think people are turning up with some of the best/worst sort of avatar picks here. But this, I mean, I love Santa out riding on Zwift. I mean, why not? You know, he's got to get around all these houses. He may as well get a bit of activity in beforehand, get fit for all those deliveries.
Yeah, exactly. He needs a pretty high VO2 in order to get through that. Goyeni, style points to you tonight. It's a little bit of a retro kit night for them with the gloves, shoes, jersey match. And hair. I think he's got a ponytail too. So there you go. No, Santa I've seen has a ponytail, but why not? Cornrows for Santa. Oh, heavens.
That is quite the get up. I love it. Goyini, you have really gone above and beyond on this Christmas themed almost last race of the series.
Yeah. Well, I think Peter Z are pretty heavy on the socials. I know that they're big on the Twitch channel. I've got to say I'm possibly not cool enough to even fully understand Twitch yet, but I know a lot of our fans are big on that platform. So get on it because it's really interesting to watch these guys racing. A couple of weeks ago, Anna, Dave Toll, and I in the America West, we actually had one of the team cars call in. And so we got to hear the instructions that were coming from the team car to the riders. It was interesting
Ah,
because we heard two different approaches. One of them was very militant, very kind of commando like of uh, telling the riders exactly what to do. It was like swing, move, 5, 4, 3, a real countdown. And the other
oh,
one
okay.
was more encouraging and just chatting, almost like you're looking great, you're doing good, keep it up. Really different approaches. Which do you think that your team would prefer, the Cyrus Pros Closet team? Do you think you'd like someone kind of barking instructions, or would you like a bit more love and cuddles in the old earpiece?
Oof. I reckon a bit of a mix of both. I think you need just, we've had a lot of stuff going through our Discord. We had, one of the riders have some goats who went loose in her yard. And so the channel was really filled up with a lot of goats noise. So that was really distracting. So I think you really want to keep
I
the
thought that
Discord
was like
channel as
the
clean
beginning
as
of a joke.
possible.
You were serious.
Um,
Oh, it's a shame.
so
Goats in Watopia.
I know. I mean, it was a bit random. I think you want it clean and concise and to the point, So you want, you know, go, you're off, next turn, and then maybe throw in a couple of like, you're looking great, push, amazing, and then at the end, just screaming your head off, sprint, 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 sprint. So I think that's what I would prefer. That's what I'm doing my first director sportif role tomorrow to see if I can put all of this into play. I realized trying to do that and race at the same time was becoming a little bit tricky. So I'll try some tomorrow and I'll let you know. But I think clear and concise, because if you're chit-chatting away, it can just get, a little bit irritating if your heart rate's up around 170 and you just sort of want silence and instruction. But interesting, Katie, which team did better?
I think it was the ones that were more organised, definitely with the instructional. I mean, I do see the merit of both, definitely, but I also see that sometimes you just want to turn off mentally when you're riding. You don't really want to have to think about much except breaking it, pulling it back to do this, do that ride. For example, the team we're watching on screen at the moment, we've got the Evo team. They're not in great shape. This is not what we want to see. We don't want to see big gaps opening up. And you need the person kind of guiding the team, whether it's one of the riders out on course or a separate team manager. But we can see them chatting actually there. Easy over
They
the
must have
brim. I've
Discord
never heard
issues.
called a brim,
Yeah.
but there we go. There's some terminology for us. But it is really important in those kind of moments you don't have time in that moment for something fluffy. You
No.
only have time to say, easy over the brim, please slow down, coming back, easy on, I think sometimes you can strip the emotion out of it and just make it very clear and concise and have time before and after to debrief about performances.
Yeah, I mean, I think this team doesn't have a Discord channel because it looks like Ben, maybe the leader here, and he's putting down actual written instructions, which is not ideal. What I do notice they've done though, is they've put their team order before their name. So Ben is 1, Dave is 4, Ryo is 3, and it looks like W Kong has forgotten to put a number. Which is always a little
So we can
tricky.
assume that
Say it.
I guess number
Um,
2, given there's 4 of them.
Is that Paul Buckland? Has he got a goat next to him in that comment that he's put up? Because that would be very, very ironic, as I was talking about goats, and one of our listeners has a goat. If he does have a goat, what I'd like to know is what sound do they actually make? Because to me, it just sounded kind of like sheep almost, but maybe he knows a little bit better, Paul. So if you know the sound that a goat actually makes. But yeah, this
There's got to be a
Evo
technical term
team.
for this. Sound a goat makes. That could be our takeout tonight if anybody can help us there.
And this Savages team, they've got a lot of fans out there. So maybe they can fill us in a little bit why they're sending text messages on screen. Oh, looks like Ben is now writing number 3. So he's actually, so this is where I think things could go a bit wrong for them. He's putting 3 there, which I assume is meaning Kong, who doesn't have the number. Oh no, Ryo's got 3, so I think Kong must be 2, even though he doesn't have the number. And Ben is putting out who is leading. So he's saying 3, and then he'll put out the next number. I mean, it's not really ideal or efficient. Particularly as they've got their numbers on their names, you'd hope that that would, make a little bit of sense in game to follow that number order.
Oh, it kind of hurts my head even trying to figure out what's going on with the numbers. But nice theory. And I will say that I think that the Community League has been a really great space for teams to try different things out. And especially, so our comment here, Savages is a mix of nations. Not everyone can speak fluent English, some on Discord, some on not. So kudos to them for finding a way to communicate with those barriers up. It's easy for us to say, that's not ideal, but given the circumstances. So thanks very much, Michael Young, for pointing that out, because that is, as it turns out, this might be really the best way that they've tried, that they managed to do it. Shout out to number 1 there, Ben, with his retro headband on. He's channeling his inner Anna.
Oh, he looks like Jane Fonda. It looks amazing with the ski glasses. Retro as. I'm loving that look. And but I do like what he's doing here, because Ben, I don't know if they've got a lot of supporters out there, so if someone could tell us a bit about this Ben rider in number 1. He's obviously the team leader, and he's figured out something that's going to work. A little bit of angst going on here with ZWC. I won't actually read that out loud, but what the something are you doing? So they're getting a little bit feisty with someone. Can't quite see who. Yeah, so just a word to the Zwifters out there. Try not to keep it kid friendly out there when you're riding on Zwift. And yeah, they're obviously,
Yes,
I mean, they're well ahead. Yeah, they're 40 seconds ahead. I mean, just chill. You'll be all right. I'm sure it's not that bad. And I can't actually see really what's going on there. Maybe
I mean, they're taking this pretty seriously, aren't they? It's easy for us to say, they've got it in the bag. They're looking good tonight. They're looking good overall. But they take it really seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on that you can hear behind the scenes. Just try not to put it in game. But I think what he's was getting a little bit frustrated with was the PNX rider, Hazel. And I do have to wonder what's going on there, because Hazel is well ahead of his teammates. He's only 8 seconds back from ZWC, so he got caught up in the ZWC team. And I just wonder actually if Beatson is in ZWC as well. So maybe Beatson and Hazel are... So Beatson is a PNX rider, so that's warranted. Like, get out. Like, get off the back of ZWC. And you've left your whole team behind, who are now 15 seconds back. So I'm not sure what PNX is sort of playing at here, but they've sort of mucking up ZWC and they're mucking up their own race. So not ideal strategies there from that team.
No, it does look like they got themselves in a bit of mess there. But thankfully it's sorted out now and they can all get back to their business. PNX, they need to regroup a bit and just respect each other's abilities and capacities and make sure they're not bombing through it all or letting those gaps open up. Even the smallest of gap can create absolute chaos. ZWC, they have 4 kilometres left to run. TIKD, he has been really sensational through this series, as has Tanaka. And I think this Japanese team, for the most part, we do have Monrich in there, of course, the Aussie. And what a highlight of the series, Anna, was when Monrich took a bit of a flyer, almost faking everybody out in the sprint for ZWC to take the win. I think that strategically they have just been phenomenal this season, and they do definitely deserve straight up. Was that a wave? How did we get a high five there?
I think he's listening to you, Katie. I think he just listened to that and went, cheers, put his hand up, thanks. That's so lovely.
That was real, and I'm impressed with that. And also, somebody tell me how to do that. I don't know how to do that in game, but I'd like to know.
On your companion app, have it open, then there's a little wavy button at the bottom. You can also put out an elbow, and you can also push a button that looks like a piece of toast, and I think it says I'm toast in game. So there we go. There's a few other little tricks you can play.
I like that. That's it's kind of like an emoji language, where instead of having to type, we can just manage to put up a piece of toast. I think I might translate that into text, actually. That's pretty good. So we're watching Monrich at the moment. He's rocking a pretty cool kind of retro hipster beard there. Do you think that the retro hipster beard takes away from the advantage of the aero helmet? I don't know. I'm sure the in-game designers aren't that cruel.
I would love that, though, if there was like a 0.5% draft reduction due to having a beard. Aero reduction due to having a beard. That would just be phenomenal if it went to that degree of detail. Who knows? Maybe it does. But it looks like Monrich is working through the beard situation and, doing pretty well. I think he's going to get our Christmas points as well, because I believe that is an ugly Christmas sweater he's rocking.
That he's accessorised with matching green socks.
It's amazing.
Monrich for the Christmas week there.
I'm loving it. I mean, I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can beat Santa. That's the only thing.
Well, this is true. And considering your affection for Jane Fonda, Anna, I kind of expect to see you a live picture of you Zwifting with your headband on and an ugly Christmas sweater. If you could do that. That'd be just for social.
I might do that. Yes, I will. I'll try and find it and look exactly the same and rock that deep dish front wheel. So we are seeing ZWC. It looks like they're coming in close to the finish now. So they, again, have absolutely rocked out this team time trial. And looks like we'll be seeing them in the Prem division.
That is just really well deserved. So they're not too far from the finish now. They've had a sensational season. They've ridden so well together as a unit. They seem to communicate really well. They ride in a very great formation, very efficient formation as they go, and they absolutely deserve this overall win that they all get, not only today, but in that overall. So they did go into today with an unassailable lead ahead of Relentless, so they just had to turn up. A bit of a yo there from IKD, and I have learned that there are some functional shortcuts. There's some keyboard shortcuts, Anna, that you can use if you don't want to take your hand off to find that button down the bottom, F1 through to F10. And if you head over to Zwift Insider, you'll be able to find all those shortcuts. What's happening here? There are too many riders. We've had a bit of a late overtake, it looks like. Or is there only...
It's like ZWC just came out TBR, yeah. But what I'm interested in is I think ZWC is actually using that hand signal. I thought they were saying hi to you, Katie, but I actually think
what a shame.
they put up their hand when their turn is done, which is amazing. That means they're not even... I think they're doing this because I've seen it twice. Let's just watch this, because what I think potentially is because they've got Japanese riders and Australian riders... I could be wrong, maybe because they're close to the end, but I've seen a couple of hand signals from them, and maybe someone from ZWC can let us know, because they are coming near the end, because they're probably just putting in a huge effort now, but I've seen a few of them, and I just wonder maybe because they've got different languages on the team, they could have been using that hand signal. So if anyone knows, let me know, because that would be amazing. That would be the first time I've kind of seen that used as a strategy.
Well, it has brought up the fact that communication can be hard when different languages are spoken. They go over the finish line there for Team ZWC Attack. I think it'll be a very successful outing, not just today, but also for the overall as the other teams start rolling in. But ZWC Attack, we have to remember that they started last because they were the overall leaders. So any teams coming in now, that means they've actually passed them out on course. So they've had a bit of a run today, Anna, because not only have they had to focus on that overall, but also doing clean passes. Relentless there, they're down to 4 riders. Ottstott, he was pretty good in last week's scratch race.
And a shout out to
about third.
shout out to Henri Guy there. So he was the team manager of Relentless. So he's had to step up and start racing, even though he was the team manager. So great to see him out, joining his sort of the remnants of his team and seeing them close out this league. So that's really good to see him step up, because it was, I think, a tough couple of weeks.
And I believe that they're a pretty good young development team now too. So even though it was a bit of a shock when we had a defection of a couple of riders, I do believe that they've got a really solid squad that can do well in the seasons to come. So we've got McGiven here, AAVF, and this is the B category for the men. So we don't have their split times at the moment, but there's some pretty tight racing on the table for them as well. A lot of the races, Anna, it's not just about taking that overall victory and the overall victory today, but a lot of them are kind of battling against what have almost become arch nemesis throughout the community for their place on the table. So it looks like the Big Ring 52, well, yes, it is a big ring. They have gone through the 26k mark at the top in 35.01. They've got a pretty solid lead of 28 seconds over the EVO Barbarians. Aeroforce, they're only a couple of seconds back, so we've got a pretty tight race for second there. AAVF, they still have 5 riders. They are coming to the finish now, so not too far to go for them. Pretty solid time too, riding over 40k an hour for the most part. So remembering it's 36k, so to finish that in just over 50 minutes is pretty quick.
Yeah, I did just want to, we just saw that team up before. They did have a lot of black kits. So that black kit, I think, is the metric or imperial, someone who's watching will be able to tell me, 160 kilometers, so 100 miles in game in one ride. You get a black kit that has a little 100 on it, and there's a little sort of silver grey kit if you ride 100 kilometers. So yeah, just some... give an extra ride on to someone you see out there who's got one of those kits, because that's been a big ride and big time in the saddle to get that special black outfit.
And we often see over the Christmas period that a lot of people take a bit of time off work and put in some pretty big epic rides on Zwift. So if you see some of your community league mates out there, maybe jump in for a ride. Actually, Anna, we had the Masters National Championships on the road here in Australia a week or two ago, and I saw a photo on Instagram of a heap of the Zwift Community League racers meeting up for the first time in real life and racing against each other in real life, and they all got a photo together, and I thought that was pretty cool, because you would not expect it. It's like meeting an Instagram friend. You feel like you know them, but the reality is you actually haven't met them. So it's pretty cool to see them be able to meet up in real life and race as well.
Oh, I think that's awesome. And I mean, actually, we've just decided with our team, when the borders open up, we're going to set the goal of doing a team entry into Ride Across America. And I think you just sort of, you've spent so much time sort of virtually chatting away on Discord, and then you think, oh, you know, let's do something in real life. And it'll be great when all these borders do open up, and we can all meet each other in person and go for some epic sort of rides in the real world as well.
Well, we're looking at Vision APAC here. They're about midway on the table, where they've been consistently this year. They're down to 4 riders, but they are coming to the finish. Again, this arch over the road, that is where we know the finish line is. There isn't actually a physical arch in the team time trial here, but there is a line across the road, and we can see the arch on the top right of screen. MRR coming across here in dribs and drabs, but that just means they've been pushing all the way to the line, which is good to see the commitment there.
Yeah, so it's been some pretty decent racing here in this Division 1B2. Looks like TBR 50T has taken that out, but only just. I mean, 28 seconds, 29 seconds back was Evo Barbarians, and Aero Force was 4 seconds off them. So what we've seen as these series progresses, as the series progressed, is these sort of team time trial times have been so close together, and it's because people are off there practicing, they're just becoming more cohesive as a unit, they're working better together.